The Shaking My Head podcast features interesting discussions about topics that have frustrated the hosts, Alex and David. Each episode is meant to question the quirks of society and bring to light subjects that intrigue or bother us. If you're here because something has you shaking your head, even if it's just life, you're in the right place.
Oh, you're gonna move in like first week of July?
The very end of June. Did I tell you about my whole roommate situation right now?
Other than you are still looking for one.
Yeah, so that was
the guy got
then.
burgled.
Huh?
And then the guy's room got burglarized.
No, it wasn't that guy. It was one of the roommates that's staying there right now. So anyways,
yeah.
I got burglarized, and then we talked about this last week. And then there's a second attempt, which I don't know if I mentioned. And then the cops are called, didn't get burglarized, but then like the same guy came around a third time 2 days ago.
What the fuck?
And the cops were called, and he was actually arrested.
Wow. Like in the act?
I don't know.
Okay.
But I ended up negotiating with the regional manager of the complex, who's I think in the same building. But basically what I ended up negotiating, long story short, is to switch apartments, they wanted to charge us, the penalty is like 1 month's rent for the current unit we're in, which is $74.59. But then I was like, hey, we're like scared to be where we're at, and the balcony is like where people are breaking and shit. And then the short end of the story is basically like, she's like, what can we do to make this right? And then I was like, well, if we could switch to another apartment without any penalties, that'd be great. She's like, yeah, usually it's it's like 1 month's rent, otherwise it's $500 to like upgrade. But ours is like, our apartment is like the nicest one, so we can't really upgrade or switch to something comparable. We would have to downgrade. So basically, like, yeah, it'll just be $500 to downgrade, to basically pick any other apartment. And then I came to that, and then my roommates wanted to ask some like valid questions, like, does our lease just continue until November, or do we have to renew our lease, basically? And they said we have to renew our lease.
Wow.
So, yeah, but they do offer different rent, like lengths of lease. It's just different prices. So basically, like, the longer you're there, up to 13 months, the cheaper it is. So, I mean, I think they were originally going to do like 4 or 5 months, but then like they've been like trying to like convince the complex to, like, I understand that safety is at risk, but I looked into the laws and I was thinking about it, and then the thing is, like, unless the in your lease agreement it says something about like, hey, we're guaranteeing security, you're going to have like a security guard to make sure you're safe, there's no real grounds to,
they don't have to do shit
on them and to break out of the lease. And then the thing is, like, they have a security guard, but they list on the webpage as a courtesy officer, which is like probably due to liability. It's like, it sucks, but there's nothing that they can do. But also, like, it's not like they're the ones who are burglarizing our apartment. And from that perspective, I understand. Unless it's like an inside job, like someone in their complex, like that works at the complex, that's causing it. So anyways, my roommates were trying to get like all the fees dropped, but they basically talked to the roommate who just kind of ditched us. You know, like, hey, there's like a $500 fee to transfer a lease, to transfer, like, I don't know how he put it, but I think he might have basically said like for lease transfer, which my roommate might have interpreted, the one that left us, as like his lease transfer. But there's also like a $300 per person fee for anyone who gets out of the lease or transfers the lease to someone else. So he agreed to paying the $500, which is to transfer like leases between apartments, but not the cost to take someone or transfer the lease from one person to another on a lease. So my roommate, I think, is going to ask for another $300, but worst case is we have like his $270 $275 security deposit. So worst case is we'd have to make up the $25 for his getting him off the lease. But if he's willing to pay the full $800, then the only fees we're gonna have to pay are like painting fees, because the cleaning fees, they said they were gonna waive a long time ago because we moved into the apartment and it wasn't cleaned at all, which is ridiculous in itself. So at this point, like, the only fees we're probably gonna have to worry about are the painting fees and then maybe a $25 fee. But also, like, the other roommate, so all two roommates are gonna stay behind, and then one of them is probably the one that can afford to front the cost, because it's gonna, like, our deposit was given to the complex, and then he's gonna have to like front the cost for whatever, or like give me back my deposit, and then he'll get it when they move out, because they're the ones that are gonna be on the lease. So, long story short, like, I think this is the best case scenario. Yeah, like, it'd be great if we can just get out of all the fees, but I mean, I don't think we have any legal grounds, and they originally wanted $74.59 just to move from one apartment to another. So it's the best case scenario considering that our roommate fucked us over.
So they're gonna move into a smaller place?
Yes. So basically, they're allowed to move into any apartment that's available, but I think to avoid us paying next month's rent, this is what I'm assuming. I mean, it's common sense, but they basically have to move into the other unit before the end of the month, right? Otherwise, they're going to bill us for next month's rent.
Okay.
So there's a few units that are available on the 21st, which I think is Monday. So I guess the plan is everyone just starts moving out. Everyone starts moving out the 21st and then moves out before the end of the month.
So you had 3 roommates first, right?
Yeah. Now it's just gonna. So
one
now
left?
it's just gonna be. Huh?
So it's just one left, right? So now there was just you and 2 other guys. And now
yeah, but I'm moving out, so
you're moving out. So it's just gonna be 2 of them.
Yeah.
And they're gonna have to find a 3rd roommate, or if
no, they don't. Well, because they can move into a 1-bedroom, a 2-bed. They can move into
downsize.
any unit.
Yeah.
And then what I'm recommending is they just move into a 1-bedroom because it's cheaper for both of them. Like they could do a 2-bedroom, and for 2 bedrooms like $3,800, and then one of them's paying about $2,500. The other one's paying $11 right now, so that's what, $3,600. They have to make up a $200 some dollar difference. But one of the roommates, she's a student, and then she's always like, I understand that she's a student and she's taking loans, and she's always complaining about, like, she's like, I can't afford this and I can't afford that. And I was like, all of us can't afford that shit. None of us wants to afford an extra $800 a month. None of us signed up for that. So, like, I understand what she's saying, but it's getting kind of like annoying that she keeps saying that.
Yeah, if you want to live here, you have to pay your part. Like, I understand the price is high, but this is what the price is for that complex or whatever.
Well, it's just like she has a budget of $1,100. So, but I mean, so what I'm saying is, like, the way they should do is just move into one, because she lives in the living room. The other roommate lives in the bedroom, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then if basically it'd be a similar situation, it'd be a 1-bedroom, and she live in the living room, right? And they'd be paying like $2,800 a month, which saves money for both of them.
$2,800 for sure, yeah.
Yeah, it's like, let's say $2,900.
Does she get her own bathroom?
No, they would share a bathroom.
It'd share a bathroom.
Yeah.
And it's a guy. The other roommate's a guy.
Yeah, but she was sharing. Okay, the girl was sharing.
She was already doing it. Yeah.
She was sharing a bathroom with me. So, like, unless the other guy is just like terrible. Like, I don't even think I'm that clean. Like, I'm not. Like, I'll wipe the piss off the toilet bowl seat, not the seat, but the toilet bowl.
Sure.
But, like, I'm considerate, but, like, how bad can it be? I know the other roommate that ditched us has a really disgusting bathroom, but he's out of the picture.
Right.
So,
I mean, it's just the cost. Like,
yeah, but the thing is, it's cheaper.
Where else is she going to get
$1,100?
Yeah, exactly.
Because it was $2,900. Then, like, she paid. Let's say she pays like $900 and he pays $2,000. That's still cheaper for both of them, hypothetically. She pays $1,000. He pays $21. That's still cheaper for both of them.
Right.
But I think she should be paying like 800 to 900 in that situation at the most.
And with this place with Chantel, what is the total rent for the place?
$4,750, but we're trying to negotiate.
Okay.
However, my mom is contributing $1,000 a month during COVID.
So let's say you can get it down to like
44, 45.
Okay, let's say worst case 4,500.
Okay.
And your mom.
So 4,500, right? Minus
Yeah.
1,000 that my mom's contributing. That's 3,500 between my sister and I.
Yeah.
So it's like 1,750.
Yeah.
Yeah, but 1,750, like I would probably be paying a little bit more because I'd be taking the garage.
Okay. What about the third bedroom?
My mom, so it'd just be a shared office space between my sister and I for now. If my mom's contributing the $1,000, then basically we don't have a roommate, and then we just figure out the cost between us.
Okay.
Because the whole reason is because my mom is like concerned about her health, and like, did I tell you the whole thing about her wanting us to like basically keep our places in the city or whatever, or breaking our lease or something or another, and then moving out to the like East Bay, and then she would pay rent for us to stay there. But if she was to do that, she'd probably have to commit to a whole month and a whole house or whatever, like a 2-bedroom, easily like $3,000 in rent.
Mm-hmm.
So
wow.
This is actually, yeah. So if she's willing to spend that much for us to live and then make us move all our shit out there while like still renting or finding a roommate, like, isn't this a better situation technically for everybody?
Yeah. And I mean, it's just, I think you and your sister like know each other much better. Like I think in terms of living with strangers, it's kind of, you can't always depend on people.
Kind of right, like, but I think we live similarly, so
right. And you'll have you'll have a lot more space too.
Yeah, I mean, like, she'll stay in her room. She doesn't have to move. She's lived there for like 6 years.
Well, I mean, because you guys, I mean, they have a huge kitchen and living room, and you'll have a shared office or a big office.
Yeah, we'll have a shared office for now, and then if my mom decides to not contribute anymore, we'll just find a third roommate.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so I mean, it works out for my sister and I think, and we've been talking about like being roommates, so it's a good opportunity. But because the other thing is, like, my sister, if her roommates were still there, and they had the baby, my sister would move out, because who wants to be around a crying baby when you're young?
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I think her roommates, they're buying a place out in East Bay.
Wow.
And rather quickly, I think they found a place within like a month, which is crazy. But
yeah, I mean, if you can get the rent down to 44, 45, that's really good. That's a lot of savings. And then you're going to get
4750 is fine. It's not that bad, but the less liability we have, the better.
Now is the time to negotiate because it's like COVID.
It is, because rent's going down everywhere.
Yeah, and yeah, they don't want a vacancy right now.
They don't want a vacancy. Also, my sister's been renting for them for like 6. So basically, I think when my sister moves in, whoever bought the property had just bought the property, and they've had a reliable tenant for 6 years. Like, that's about as good as you're going to get for a landlord.
And what about the couple that moved out? Like, who is paying their portion of rent?
So we're renewing the lease essentially, because the lease ends August 31st, but they're basically putting the lease into they're taking themselves off the lease. They're putting me on it.
Right, but I'm saying, like, through this entire period, they've still been paying their portion.
Well, of course, because they're moving out the end of the month, so they pay through the end of the month, and then I pay since Chantal, I pay going forward, right?
Oh, got it.
There's no lapse.
I thought they had
There's no lapse in rent.
No, I got it. I thought they had already moved out.
No, I'm saying, like, they're moving out the end of the month.
They're moving out the end of the month, and you're just going to turn around and move right in before July 1st.
They're moving out. The plan is for them to move out like the 27th and the 28th.
Okay.
So they can come after me for like 2 days of rent, or We figure it out.
Yeah. No, I'm just saying like I don't care about the money part. I'm talking about logistically, basically, because that's close.
And I think they're fine with, yeah, it's really close. And I think they're fine with me just like moving smaller things in and like putting in the living room for now. I was going to wait till like they move out to move all the big things in. And the big things are basically like my desk, my TV stand, my TV, my monitor, and my bed. Those are the big things. And then the other stuff I can like slowly like move it.
Yeah. In your car.
In Tina's car. My car's not here.
Oh. Tina's car.
Yeah. My car's in Fremont, dude. Like East Bay, like an hour from here.
Oh, okay.
So, I mean, at first my roommates were being a little ridiculous, but I talked to them today, and then they seem like they're on the same page, and I think they're more okay with it because the roommate that left us is willing to pay the $500 fee for the lease transfer. So for them, it doesn't really cost them much at all to move. But I mean, regardless, I'd rather pay the $500 fee than pay $74 or $24.50, whatever. Exactly. Because the thing is, like, the problem is, on Monday we worked all this out, and I was assuming like, oh, I don't have to find a roommate anymore. But if I don't find a roommate by July, I gotta pay that rent, assuming we don't move out. It's just like it's a no-brainer. Like, yes, we're not getting the best case scenario. Yes, it's frustrating because people are breaking in, but
you're not paying through November too, so
you gotta pick and choose your battles. You either pay like. Because if you break your lease, it's 2 months rent. That's $15,000. I'm not paying that. I'm also not. I don't even want to pay $800 extra a month. I don't think anyone does. $500, yeah, it sucks, but split between 3 or 4 of us is between
not bad.
$167 and $125.
$500 even with one person is not bad. It sucks.
It's not considering the alternative, and I'm pretty sure like. If the complex was way worse, they could have just been like, no, fuck you. You're paying the 1 month fee, and that's that.
Yeah.
So they are working with us, and I'm trying to get that into their heads because they're like emailing, and it sounds like they're attacking the complex. Which, in this case, I wouldn't. If it's like before you've negotiated something, maybe it's ammunition. But the thing is, they're like, well, yeah, we'll do the $500 fee. I'm like, dude, don't poke the bear any more than you have to.
Yeah.
Because they could totally just be like, no, we're not going to take that $500 offer anymore and fuck you.
Yeah.
Even though it was in writing, you know? Because then, like, the biggest problem is, like, all these things they want to argue, right? Let's say you want to go through with it. The apartment complex says no. You're going to have to go through court. If you go through court, you're still going to have to pay rent.
Yep.
I'm just like, guys, this is just just think about it. It's common sense. Like, just it sucks, but this is our best option, and it's not that bad. $500 between 3 people is not the worst. Just don't eat out as much or don't get as much alcohol. You can make up.
Yeah, some people can't stand to like not lose per se, or they feel.
Oh no, I'm a principle guy. I'm a guy who's all about principle. But in this case, I'm just like.
But there's some people who like can't understand like. Sometimes you have to bite the bullet.
You do. Sometimes sometimes I'm about principle, but sometimes it's like, how much more work am I going to go through to stick it to whoever for being a dick hole versus like, okay, it's $200. I make enough money for that. I'm just going to move on because it's not worth my time.
Yeah.
But there's people who just like, who are adamant about making that shit work, or like, there's also some people who can't process this shit in their head. But I'm glad, like, I talked to him today. I was like, dude, we need to have a call because, like, I'm seeing these emails and I'm like, dude, just don't piss them off. Let's just take this deal and move on. Because, like, I feel like I shouldn't even have to pay for this. But, like, originally before my roommate said he'd pay for it, I was like, I technically don't even really have to pay for this because I'm moving out.
Yeah.
But if it's like, I was talking to Tina and she's like, if it's $167 or just pay it and get the fuck out of there.
Yeah, that's nothing. Just for the
it's more money than I want to spend, but
shut people up, yeah.
I'm just ready to just move on and not have to this like be like stressful to me. I'm losing sleep over this shit, man.
Wow. So the one roommate, she's a girl, she's a student. What is she studying?
I think it's like fitness management or something.
Okay. And what's the other roommate do?
He works for like a gaming company. He makes good money. The other two guys make a lot of money, but the guy who
should
ditched
understand like math and just simple.
They're fucking two of the guys are engineers. They should. But also like the guy who moved out, he was like bitching. He's like didn't understand how computers work, and he's like, "Oh yeah, don't you have a high performance computer? Doesn't it use a lot of power?" I'm like, "No, it's not running at like full power usage all the time." Like some people.
Why he wanted you to pay more in electric bills?
No, I was just telling the guys, I was like, why are we like? I was like, hey, just keep a lookout. Like our electric bill's high. I don't know why it's so high unless someone's running a heater. But the guy who moved out, he's bitched a bit. Like I've heard him one time like bitch about me. He's like, oh, Alex said I couldn't run the heater, which I did not say. I was just like, hey guys, we're spending a lot on electricity. I don't know why. Just keep an eye out, right? Because like, why am I paying if someone's running the heater all the time? Why am I paying for this fucker to run the heat all the time? But also the thing is, if you're running the heat, that's fine. Just turn it off when you're not using it. Just be more economical about it. And then the funny thing is, it went from $240 a month to like $140. It's $100 difference a month. It's not chump change.
Yeah.
But then he keeps blaming me for not letting him use the heater, and I never said that. I was like, hey, we're just spending a lot on electricity, so just keep an eye on like making sure you turn off the heater. Like maybe you could start using the dryer less and shit like that. But he's like,
yeah, go ahead.
He's just being an asshole because this guy doesn't listen. He just wants to hear whatever he wants to hear, and then he just blames people for stupid shit. But okay, here's the thing: electric's 140, right? Water, sewage, trash billed by the complex is $60 a person.
That's a lot.
There's also
taking the killing.
Yes, which is bullshit. And then there's also internet, which is originally like less than $15, and then now I'm paying $20 because the dickbag roommate that moved out was like, oh well, the internet we have is like he keeps like using way too much internet, like he keeps going over the bandwidth cap. So he went with another provider, and then he's like, well, it's not working for me or some shit. He's having issues with it, and he's like, we have to get this. And all the rest of the three of us are like, we don't have any issues. So like with the current internet, so why should we have to upgrade? If you want to upgrade, then you can foot the bill for the rest, because you're the one who needs it, not us. So anyways, like you got like $65 for water, sewage, trash. Let's say $35 for electricity. That's $100, right? And then minor is like $20, so it's $120 a month per person for fucking utilities. It's so expensive.
That's really expensive.
Like even if I had the money, I'm just like, dude, why the fuck am I spending so much money? It's like it's a lot. But the other guy's just like, we're glad he's out of our life, but he also made things more stressful. But like hopefully after like the end of June, like everything just so I don't have to deal with any stupid bullshit anymore.
This is the reason why not the only reason, but one, like these kind of experiences that I've also encountered before is the reason why I don't like to live with roommates.
I don't either, but it's really hard to here in San Francisco.
For sure, yeah.
I had my own place in Atlanta, like a studio for $900 a month, and that was great. Like that was cheap ass rent.
Yeah.
I wish I could still do that, but I made a choice to give it up. And
yeah, I mean, your area, there's no way you could live alone. I got that.
Well, I mean, the thing is, if you look around, you can find a studio in the city for maybe $2,500. It's doable. You just have to look around.
Yeah, that's still really expensive.
It is. That's probably almost as much as your mortgage.
So that's more than my mortgage, yeah.
But anyway, let's hear your experiences, your bad roommate experiences.
Mine is mostly like, so I had a roommate when I was interning at GE. It was this white Jewish guy, and this
Why
guy
does he have to be Jewish? Why can't he just be white?
I don't know. That's
okay. He's a white Jewish guy.
He's a white Jewish guy, and he's so like dirty, like
oh god.
We shared a bathroom.
Yeah.
So it was we actually lived in a townhouse because you can fucking afford, and it was cheap. I think it was like $1,000 total a month for a it might have been a 3-bedroom townhouse with a garage.
Well, here's the thing: you could have gotten a townhouse in Atlanta for like $1,000, like back in 2008, 2009, probably. Like even maybe up to like 2011, 2012. But now that shit's like
that's not happening.
2000 probably.
Yeah.
1700 or 2000.
Yeah.
Continue.
So, anyways, we were splitting the rent on this place, and so we had a shared bathroom upstairs, and then there's a half bath downstairs.
Yeah.
But anyways, we shared the bathroom, and I just remember this thing that's so memorable. We would have breakfast during the morning before we go to work.
Right.
And he had this recliner he always has. Like, he brought a recliner, and it was just like a normal day. He always eats cereal.
So in the recliner?
Yeah, in the recliner in the morning. He eats cereal in the morning. So one day we were like leaving, and I'm like, all right, let's go. And we go to work. I come back and we find like roaches or like, cockroaches in the house. I'm like, what the hell is going on? And then I find out like it's next to his recliner, and all he did was basically he didn't finish his breakfast, and he just put the unfinished bowl of cereal on the ground and walked out. And we went to work.
What the fuck? Every single day?
Yeah, that was just like what he did. No, and I don't know if he ever cleaned it up sometimes. He just put it on the ground and left it. So there was like 2 bowls of unfinished cereal on the ground next to his recliner that he just forgot about or something, or just didn't care.
No, he's too lazy.
I'm like, what the fuck's going on? Come on. You couldn't just like put it in the sink at least, or dumped it out? And
that's what I'm the most afraid of, like having dirty roommates or having bugs in the house.
I hate
because I feel like if you have bugs in the house, you're dirty. Like there's ways to get around that.
Yeah,
so like just take out your trash, or just if you just like take an extra few seconds to clean shit up, you'll be fine.
I don't know how these people like live. I guess their parents did it all for them, like cleaned up after them and all this shit.
I don't know, but I'll tell you, like back to my experience, the roommate that bailed on us, he's always like complaining about us like leaving dishes in the sink or stuff. Like not for like extended period of time, maybe like a couple days. But I know everyone has their own like habits.
Yeah.
But he's like he expects all of us to clean our dishes immediately. But then he's kind of hypocritical about it sometimes, especially when he gets drunk. He doesn't clean it, and then he like gets mad at us.
Yeah.
But also he's like talking about how clean he is, and then when he moved out, like his room was just filthy. Like his bathroom, like apparently the toilet seat had like piss all over it. He had one of those like bidet seats, and like I saw the bathtub, and it was like looked like it'd never been cleaned since he moved in. And the worst part is when someone's a fucking hypocrite about that shit.
Yeah. I just don't understand how people can live that way. Like they can just be. I'm like like you said, there's people have habits, and I'm okay with like leaving the dishes overnight or something.
Right.
But I'm not so dirty to the point where there's like grime growing or like there's bugs in the house.
Yeah, I fucking hate bugs in the house. And the thing is, like, you don't have to be that clean to not have bugs in the house. It's just like, just be cognizant of what you do.
I guess people don't care, like I said.
I don't know.
People don't. There's some people who just grew up that way, or they were pampered. They didn't have to do any of that. I don't know how they survive.
I don't know, because I'm just glad that I'm not, like, my roommate's gonna be my sister, and we're raised similarly, and I think we have similar ideas about like, or similar principles. Standards, yes, standards. So I think we'll be fine, but I've never really like roomed with my sister before. Like we lived, like when we were young, we lived in the same house, but not as roommates. So We'll see how it goes, but I don't think it's gonna be an issue. We also I also live in the very top floor. She lives on the very bottom floor, so we have a floor of buffer. So I mean,
Nice.
I don't see it being an issue.
You shouldn't stress so much. I mean, there's a lot of stuff. Yes, I can see
Well,
it being released. It's because it's all in your mind and you want to fix it. It just takes time.
well, okay, so it's just so do you think when you're going to bed, there's might be thoughts that linger in your mind?
All the time.
That's kind of what I meant by stress, kind of. But then the last 2 days, because I negotiated this on Monday, today is Wednesday, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then so I negotiated this, and then my roommates start going ape shit. I'm just like, dude, these what's stressing me. I was like, these guys better not fucking ruin this deal because I just negotiated this deal, and they start attacking management. And I'm like,
yeah,
I just don't want this to go back to where we're just like, oh, we have now only half a month to find roommates.
yeah.
And then the other problem is I believe them in the fact that they're trying to find roommates, but I feel like we could all be making a better effort because the thing is, the guy who ditched us, at least he paid for the month of June. I was like, well, if we find someone who can if we can find someone who could rent our place for these 3 weeks, right, or however long, that is not 3 weeks, we can use these 3 weeks as rental income towards next month in case we can't find someone to replace us in July.
Mm-hmm.
But then they're saying oh, the room is too dirty, everything has to go. And I also want to keep some of the stuff that the other guy left there. He didn't take in a lot of stuff with him, the bigger stuff, as collateral. I was like, well, if we can't find someone, then we'll sell his shit off and make at least a couple $100. But then my roommates are like, well, we don't want any legal issues where he can come back and sue us because he's still on the lease. And I'm like, well, all right, you guys figure out what you want to do, but that leaves us less wiggle room for
Just
money.
get out. Once you're out.
Yeah, well, now in this case, we don't have to worry about renting out anymore. And then it worked in our favor. But before that, it's just hey, I think we should do this to cover our asses.
Yeah.
Just in case. Hold on to it till, and then one of the roommates is like, no, we should just get rid of it. And I'm like, your call, but this doesn't give us much leverage. And the whole point is if we're not making enough of an effort to find a roommate, we're going to be stuck paying for this guy's rent, which I'm not going to pay $800 more for him, even if I could.
Right.
And then I don't know if they were understanding the severity of it. It was actually $820.
Yeah, I mean,
because I'm not even living there right now. I'm paying my rent. I'm paying I'm paying my share of the utilities, which I feel like I shouldn't have to do. But also, I'm the one who's choosing not to shelter in place there. So
again, this comes to a point where I feel that people don't care as much. They don't understand something's gonna hurt them until it hurts them.
It does, and then I'm just like, guys, we need to be proactive about. We need to do this shit now. But anyways, long story short, I think we're good now.
Okay.
It's not finalized yet, but I just don't want to be stuck in the middle of all this because I'm moving out.
Yeah, once you're out, it's a lot easier because you can be like, I'm gone.
Yeah, well, and then here's the biggest problem. I can't just be like, hey, because usually if you find a replacement roommate, you can just get out, right? You just replace the roommate with someone else. You pay a fee, whatever.
Yeah.
But the problem is, the guy who moved out and only gave us 7 days notice, he told us he expects to be released off of the lease, even though he didn't find someone to replace us, and he's not paying, as far as we know, he's not paying for July's rent.
Yeah.
And the thing is, if I want to be released from the lease before he gets released from the lease, he has to sign the updated lease, right?
Does he?
Yes, because all 4 of us are on the lease. Move out. The main reason I want to move out is just we've had issues since we've moved in to the complex. And I've been fighting for it, which my roommates haven't, which is also really annoying. But I've just been fighting, and shit doesn't get taken care of. I'm like, On top of that, their level of service has decreased, and that's what I used my argument for. I was like, this is why I want to move out. I want to move out because this complex is deteriorating, and I don't want to be part of this anymore. And then I think they were finally like, yeah, okay, that's fine.
It's hard to find like places that companies that care, period.
Yeah, I mean, most landlords are there to make money, right? Not to care for people. I mean, I'm not saying there's not every landlord is heartless or anything, but most of them are just like, yeah, well, we're here to it's for profit, not for charity.
That's all for this week. Thank you for listening to the podcast, and tune in next week for more stories about what has got us shaking our heads.